Hello, boils and ghouls. My name is Ashley, and this week I watched the final season of Umbrella Academy. Was this the best season we got? No. But I laughed, I cried, and I'm not ready for it to be over yet. Now, Umbrella Academy is one of my favorite shows. I don't know how I hadn't even heard about it before it was on Netflix, because it is everything that I love. It's superheroes, but they're not really superheroes, and their powers are kind of weird. Plus, it's written by Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, which is one of my favorite bands. And everything about this show is just... I love it. I love it so much. It's perfect. Is this the best season? Probably not. It's the shortest season. We only get 6 episodes. But it didn't feel any shorter watching it, although it's so long in between seasons that maybe I would notice more if it was like, if I watched it back to back, you know? But this season starts 6 years later, I think, after season 3. And everyone has now made a life for themselves, powerless. Victor owns a bar in Canada. He's doing really well. Allison is still an actress, mostly doing laundry detergent commercials. Klaus lives with her and Claire. And he's clean and sober for the first time in most of his life, which is fantastic. But he is extremely germophobic and a little bit overly cautious. Like, he puts on a helmet to go outside and, like, surgical gloves, and it's a lot. But Klaus is still one of my favorite characters. If I had to pick a power, it would be either him or Five. Because Five is my other favorite character. The two of them actually are, like, both sides of my personality. Okay? Like, the 5 of me loves coffee. This is the biggest coffee cup that I have. I love coffee. I'm sarcastic. I have a low tolerance for people. And then the Klaus side of me is my spooky, creepy tarot card readingness. Because if you didn't know, I do that. I used to do that here on this channel. Yeah, Diego and Lila. They're married. They got 3 kids. He's a delivery driver now. Ben ended up in prison, although this is still not their Ben, this is the other Ben, so, you know, he still sucks. 5 managed to get a job with the CIA, and he goes undercover to some support groups for people who believe in alternate timelines, which is interesting given the premise of this show, right? And old Reggie Hargrave's just been hanging out in his big-ass house with his wife. The reset from the previous season that they attempted to do, of course, since we got another season, didn't work. And once again, the siblings have to attempt to stop the end of the world, because that is their sole purpose for existing. In fact, they're kind of the reason it keeps happening. Now, some of the siblings don't really seem to have a lot going on. Klaus specifically, and like I said, I friggin' love Klaus. He's my favorite. When it comes to their mission this season, he's not really involved. They all managed to get their powers back thanks to suck-ass Ben, even though literally they all told him their lives are better without it. They don't want him. This Ben is awful. When they regain their marigold, if you didn't know, that's what their powers are called. It's a particle, and that particle is what caused them to be born. When they regained their abilities, we see some, I guess you could consider it character development, maybe. Some of them have more advanced abilities, like Layla has laser eyes now, and Allison's kind of like telekinetic and can control people without actually having to rumor them to do it. And Klaus can fly, which, I mean, he could always sort of float, so maybe he could have always flown and just didn't know it. Anyway, Klaus can fly. Oh, Luther. Yeah, I wasn't expecting Magic Luther and having that be his profession. Now, I know Luther likes dancing a lot. Wasn't expecting it to go in that direction. And it was hilarious. You see him at work twice. I don't know. He's not good. He's trying, bless him, but he's not a good dancer. You can actually see that he has hurt himself in the process. They started the show with that. It's not the first thing you see. It starts with Victor, but the next sibling you see is Luther, and I was not prepared for that. Now, Victor is sort of the center of this. He and Ben are the center of this. Although I feel like it kind of always comes back to Victor in a lot of ways. You know, season 1 was literally Victor trying to end the world. And that's interesting to me considering Victor was never really part of the team, but always manages to play such an integral role. In fact, there's a conversation that Victor has in the car with that timeline's Reginald, where he says to Victor, you deserve just as much, if not more, than the others to wear the uniform. And that's probably the nicest thing you'll ever hear from any Reginald Hargreaves to any of the children ever. Because he's right. You know, Victor should have always been part of the team. Victor is very OP. You know, Victor's power is a lot, and I understand maybe a little bit why the original Reginald wouldn't want to, like, encourage that power. But Victor handles it very well. Maybe because he's grown and not a child and teenager. But no, if you took the time to bring that child into your home, you should have made that child part of the team. But not the greatest parent in the world, is he? Then aliens don't really know how to parent humans, I guess. I keep wanting to call them the kids. The siblings are all looking for Victor because once again he's distanced himself from everybody. Also, there's a lawnmower outside now. Since when does my neighbor's lawn service come on a Friday? I'd like to know. Anyway, Layla and Diego, they're married, they got 3 kids. The oldest one's turning 6. They throw her a birthday party. Luther calls Victor, practically begging him to come. It's their niece's birthday. Shock and surprise, he actually agrees because yet again Victor is distancing himself from the family. Honestly, it might have been good for them all to just go their separate ways, but family. They're literally the only people they know in the entire timeline. So even though Victor says he's going to show up, everyone's still a little iffy on whether or not he actually is. So the catalyst for this season's mission, I guess you could call it, is Victor gets kidnapped. And when the siblings find out, of course they're going to go look for him. He's their brother. They're not going to leave him with some, you know, potential wackadoo, right? So they find the guy, they meet him at a dry cleaner's, and he feeds them some story of, I'm looking for my daughter. Her name is Jennifer. I figured, you know, you're the Umbrella Academy. And they're like, there's no Umbrella Academy in this timeline. How do you know that? Because he found a whole bunch of junk, like a box of stuff. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in it from other timelines. It's got like one of the masks from season 1 in it. It's got Klaus's dog tags in it. A whole bunch of stuff. And one of the things is a jar of marigold. Everybody's saying, you know, we don't do that. We don't save people. The Umbrella Academy doesn't exist here. We don't even have our powers. We're not those people anymore. And then 5 just takes the box and is like, give us 24 hours. We'll find her. No problem. He sees what's in the box, right? And he is infiltrating these conspiracy theory support groups of people who believe they have memories of alternate timelines. If you've watched the show, you know they're not wrong. These kids have been in multiple timelines. They're not kids. The siblings have been in multiple timelines. 5 can blink between timelines. So you know these people are right. The question remains, why do they have these memories? Why are these objects here? Because they shouldn't be. So CIA 5 is going to look into it. And he gets taken to a meeting that are hosted by 2 people named Gene and Jean. They're a married couple, but if you ask me, they're more like variants of each other than a married couple because they're like exactly the same. They dress the same. Like, I don't get it. They're too similar to not be. Like, Sylvie and Loki are more different than these 2. And it's weird. Okay? Like, I think this whole season just needed the TVA because there's a shit ton of Nexus events and I'm pretty sure those 2 are variants. But okay. When he's at this meeting, he runs into Layla of all people. She's been telling Diego that she goes to book club. She's also infiltrating these weird meetings. So now they're kind of in this together. Gene and Jean get suspicious, specifically at 5, because they know Layla, or as they call her, Nancy. But he says something that raises a red flag for them, and now they're on high alert. So as they look for Jennifer, they end up in this really weird town. It looks like something you'd see out of like a Hallmark movie. And Ben meets Jennifer. And it's the beginning of the end. Because these two should have been nowhere near each other for the sake of the world. Now, Abigail, Reginald's wife, is the one that created the marigold. And she says in doing so, she created another particle, Durango. Don't ask me where they get these names from. I don't know. I don't know why they're called that, but it's a little bit weird to me. All of the Brellies have marigold. Jennifer has Durango. If you put the two together, a reaction occurs that is catastrophic. So none of them can touch this girl. But, you know, she's freaking Ben's the love of his life and they've known each other for 5 seconds, but okay. Now, if there's like 42 babies born the way the siblings were, like how is there just one Jennifer, like one person, but like is there nobody else that has Durango? Because Reginald is not concerned about anyone else coming into contact with the siblings except for Jennifer. I don't get it. If 42 kids can be born from marigold, how do you only have the one? But I don't know. I'm not going to question it. It's a comic book superhero show, and I'm not going to question it. Yeah, Jennifer in herself is weird. She was found inside of a squid. Inside of a squid, like a giant squid, like a huge... I don't know how she got in there. It's gross. Did they mention something like that in previous seasons? It's been so long between seasons, I don't always remember what happens. But it wasn't ringing any bells for me on why she could possibly be inside of a squid. But she mentions the cleanse, and that is the end goal of this show, unfortunately. Because, like I said, I'm going to miss this show so much. If you put Ben and Jen together, you get the cleanse. So it's kind of like almost like magnets, kind of like they're drawn to each other. Even though they really got off on the wrong foot. They had a real bad start because, like I said, this is the version of Ben that sucks. And he's got an attitude problem and he was pissed off when he met her. But they got over that real quick. So the goal becomes finding the two of them and keeping them apart. It's a little late, but they're trying. That's why Victor ends up with Reggie. They're trying to save the world, although there's people actively working against that. There are people who want the cleanse. Jean and Jean want the cleanse. That dude who abducted Victor wants the cleanse. There's an M. Night Shyamalan level twist in there I wasn't expecting. I won't say what it is for those who haven't watched it, but it surprised the shit out of me. Yeah, when it comes to siblings actively trying to help the situation, it's obviously Victor. Like, he's leading the charge on this. And 5, with the assistance of Layla. 5, who, by the way, when he gets his powers back, can only blink into this weird timeline subway station that is impossible to navigate. And he ends up stuck in it for 7 years with Lila, and they kind of have, like, they start a relationship with each other, and I really don't feel that was necessary for the story. You got those 3 actively trying. Allison's kind of trying, while also managing Klaus, who's not helping at all. He owes somebody a crap ton of money, so he starts using his ability to pay off his debt, and that lands him in a cemetery, and Claire and her daughter have to find him, with the help of a ghost dog. Because it's Klaus. Like, that's the extent of Klaus's story. Allison tries to help. She goes with them to talk to Reginald, and they meet Abigail, who plays a more significant role in this story than you would think from the amount of time she's shown on camera. Luther and Diego. 5 actually asks his boss at the CIA to take them to the office and just let them hang out. And they basically get put in, like, the retirement division of the CIA, so they'd be out of the way. That's how useful and helpful they are. Although, they do uncover something. Luther specifically actually takes the initiative to snoop around a little bit, because Diego's just happy to be in the CIA at all. But yeah, since this is the final season of the show, I think we all know that the end's the end, right? Like 5 said, they saved the world 3 times, they've ended the world 3 times, and they're gonna do it again. And I cried. I cried at the end. I've watched through the season twice, and both times I cried. I think I cried a little bit more the second time. The last thing that Klaus says is, I love you all, but you are all assholes. And he's right. They absolutely are. But I love them anyway. And I'm going to miss this show very much. That's all for this video. Please feel to subscribe. Click like if you liked it. If there's something you'd like me to watch, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time. Be excellent to each other. Bye.